Okay, everybody, now that you have learned how to do block and bubble lettering using our road or our skeleton method, now we're going to be moving on to our project. Now, if you have not watched that first video, you need to stop this video now and go back and do this along with us because we are going to be building on this concept here. Okay, so you'll need to know what that's all about first. Okay, so now we're ready. Our project, what we're going to be doing is you're going to make a big letter, okay, for your name. You can do your first name, your last name, whichever one you want to do, and you're going to be filling it. Now this project here has, what they filled it with was things that start with the letter B, right? Bear, bee, bald eagle, butterfly, beagle, beaver, buffalo, that kind of thing. And there's an S example, right? And they filled it in with all the things that start with that whatever letter it is. What we were going to do, we're going to take this concept, but I would like to build on our About Me pages, because I know a lot of teachers asked you to do an About Me, and kind of at the beginning of the year, you're kind of introducing yourself. So I figured we would make art with it. Okay, so what you're going to be doing, instead of doing letters, or excuse me, things that begin with the letters, you're going to be doing your interests. Okay, pictures of things that you like, you know, maybe you and your friends, your favorite colors, things like that. You can design it however you want. Okay, so first of all, we need to make sure our letter is big enough, because we do not want teeny tiny little pieces of like pictures and not be able to know what they are. So for this project, your dimensions need to be at least 6 inches tall. Okay, at least. So it needs to be really big. Mine was a little bit bigger. Mine is 9 inches. So I went a little bit further than that, but your minimum is 6 inches. Now you can also do this. The reason why I made it on 6 inches is because some people will be working in a notebook and it might be a little bit smaller, and that's fine. So if you have computer paper or drawing paper, that would be ideal. But if you only have lined paper, or if you're working in your composition notebook, that is completely fine. So at least 6 inches, okay, tall. And then the width is very important, because the width determines how much space you have for those objects, right? So we want it to be pretty wide. It needs to be at least 1.5 to 2 inches, okay? Now I picked 2 inches because if you know me, I'm not very good at math, and it's just a lot easier for me to do whole numbers. But if you do 1.5, this one I think was even 1.25, maybe. Yeah, 1.25. You would just need to find that middle ground. Okay, and that is completely fine. It's whatever you'd like. If you'd like to make it bigger and even make it 2.5, 3 inches, that's fine too. It's totally up to you. But you have to do at least 6 and at least 1.5 to 2. Okay, so those are your directions for that. Okay, let's see here. Let's begin with, I'm going to quickly draw. I'm not going to go back through all the steps, but I would like to show you how to do a quick big letter, right? And let's see, don't forget to use your ruler. Don't forget to draw very lightly. Okay, so what you could do lightly, remember you're drawing out your skeleton first. Okay, and if you mess up your angle or whatever, remember, edit as you go. Okay, so now here's our skeleton. I'm gonna make mine 2 inches. Oh, wait a minute. First, did we make it tall enough? Oh yeah, plenty. It's almost 7 inches. So we did that. Remember, you have to have it at least 6, and we did 7, so we're good to go there. Now we have to make it at least 1.5 to 2. So I'm going to do 2. Okay, make your dashes. Line it up, make your dashes. Okay. Line it up. Line it up. And remember, if this is, I'm going to go fast because we already had our tutorial on how to do our block lettering, okay? So go back and refresh, practice, practice, practice. And as you can see, I'm moving my paper as I go. That's just an easy little trick that I do because it's easier if I'm kind of moving this way instead of having to kind of contort my body to match the paper. It's a lot easier to move the paper and the utensils to you, okay? Okay, isolate your lines. Ooh, I about made that one too small. 1, rid of these papers. Okay, line these guys up. Line these guys up. Okay, now I went way too far out here, right? As you can see, this stops here and I went way too far. So what I will do is I'm gonna stop it about right here. Okay, I'm gonna stop this one about the same. Okay, so and remember, you can make bubble, block, whichever is easier for you. Let's make, since my C, the one we're going to look at in just a second, is blocked, let's make this one a bubble. Okay, so what you're going to do, instead of making those straight lines, all you're doing is rounding off your edges. Okay, rounding off your edges. Rounding off your edges. Okay, so now this is our starting point. Okay, we have our tallness correct, our width correct. Now all we're gonna have to do is erase the insides here. Okay, so let's move back to my C here. C for Coconour, right? Remember, you can use your first, last name, initial, whichever one you want to use. Okay, so next step is going to be erasing your middle line there. And as you can see, my paper got scrunched up when I was erasing. Sometimes that happens when you draw as well. And so it's best to hold your paper down no matter what you're doing, whether you're erasing or drawing, to keep that nice flat surface. Okay, so, and as you can kind of tell, some of my lines are not that that dark or smooth. That's because I was kind of lightly kind of going around to get the overall shape. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and make it nice and smooth. I'm going to follow the lines that I like here, and then we're going to erase the rest. Okay, and actually I made this little guy. Okay, and again, see how I move my paper because it's easier for my hand to go this way. So I'm moving that paper to accommodate that. Okay, so now, like I said, it's best to draw lightly, and you can always add more. Okay, and that's what I'm doing now. Okay, so I'm gonna do that for the rest of it, but then see all these little stray marks, that's when you can kind of go back and erase. And see where I erased that little guy a little bit more? You're just gonna kind of edit as you go, right? Okay, so now the fun part begins. You can add anything that you like in here. Think about, oops, sorry, dropped my ruler. Think about hobbies, interest. Think about what kind of clothes you like to wear, what kind of style, colors, any kind of thing in images, okay? I don't want a lot of words. I don't want you to write out reading, right? Because this is art class. We want pictures. We want pictures. So think about when you're reading, what kind of images, or think of clip art, that kind of thing. So for reading, you could do a book, right? You could do an open book. And I'm doing this fast, guys, you know, take your time on it. You could do a stack of books, right? That kind of thing. You could draw yourself reading a book, right? There's so many images that you can do that convey that one thought, okay? Sports, same thing. You can draw yourself playing. You can draw the ball itself. You could draw the equipment, but then you could draw like a baseball diamond or whatever. All these images, what do you think about when you think of the word baseball, or when you think of the word reading, right? So think of all your hobbies, think of your interests, your colors, you know, things like that. Favorite animal, favorite food, anything like that. And think of the images that go behind that. So for me, let's see, I am going to start with art, right? Because obviously I'm an art teacher. I love art. I love drawing. So I'm going to think about drawing paintbrushes, okay? And see how I'm kind of getting my ideas out first. You know, grab you a scrap of paper and write out your ideas, sketch out your ideas, and figure out what you're going to do, okay? It's not all just like talent and I'm an artist and I do it all the best way and I do it in 2 seconds, right? It's about planning as well. Planning, sketching out, practicing, getting all your ideas done before you get to your final paper, okay? So like the practicing with the bubble letters, right? Flip it over, do some sketches of your clip art versions of whatever your hobbies are, right? So back to here, I'm gonna go and get a paintbrush, maybe dripping with paint. I'm gonna draw a palette, right? I'm gonna do different colors, that kind of thing. Now, when I go to place this, I do want to make sure that you understand that everything doesn't have to fit into this, right? As you can see, this bald eagle, it's cut off, right? His leg should extend down to here, right? His feathers should extend down here. This bear, his little arm should be like this, right? So don't be afraid to cut off, right? And as you can see, the flowers here, right? And that's called overlapping. That's called cropping this out. So I don't want you to kind of try to fit everything in. Remember, you can kind of go off the page, and in this case, off the letter. So I'm going to do that with this palette, okay? He's going to be part of my kind of background here. So I'm going to do a palette, and I've already looked up my images, what I want to do. Okay, here's this. Here's the little thumb hole here. Now here's all the little splattery paint pieces. Okay, here's my pieces. Okay, and as you can see, if this would continue, this is what it's going to look like, right? And if you need to, draw it lightly so you can kind of get the shape right if that makes it more comfortable. Sometimes I have to do that as well. Okay, then I'm going to do a paintbrush, right? I'm going to make it standing up tall. Okay. Now I'm just sketching quickly these images, right? But go back, make them nice and neat, okay? I'm gonna do maybe paint dripping down back onto this little guy, right? And then I'm gonna have space. You can kind of cram all your images in, like overlapping, so you don't have a lot of background, or you can do what's on here where they have like a full background. They did mainly plants and flowers and things like that behind the animals. So you could kind of pick out you could do I like polka dots, so you could kind of do a polka dot background, and so your images will be in front, and just kind of lay in on top of that. Or you could kind of do a background, whatever section you're doing, right? I could do different rainbow colors to kind of represent the different color paints. I could do, if I was doing the baseball section, I could maybe make the background into kind of a diamond and then do the baseball or person swinging in front of that, right? So get really creative. Think about a collage kind of thing. Look up examples online. Let me see what else. Let me get, okay, my favorite flower is a daisy. So I could draw daisies in the background. That would be cool. You could do your favorite color, right? And again, I'm doing this really quickly. I don't want any daisies looking like that, right? I want them nice and neat. So you could make daisies, right? Okay. And then moving on, I could add in, let's see here. I like Harry Potter, so I could maybe do a big lightning bolt kind of to divide the daisies into my next little section if I wanted to. You can kind of section it off, or you can jumble it. You could put a Harry Potter symbol right here, kind of to mix it all up, right? Jumble it all together. It's totally up to you. But the key is overlapping, cutting it off, right? Make sure that you're kind of going off the letter here, and then you go back and erase it if you need to do it that way. Okay, so as you can see with these examples here, you have hardly any empty space, right? The only empty spaces you have are in between objects here, and that's not a lot, okay? Because they see how the spider web kind of overlaps the swan here, and even the little pine tree leaf here. The seal goes up. Oh, I didn't even notice this, guys. There's a seal, but then there's a whale right behind him, right? So you overlapping how the skunk is in front of these flowers. The snail is on top of the strawberries. So you need to fill up all those empty spaces, okay? Cramming them all in there, overlap, things like that, okay? And fill it all the way up with all kind, and again, this is all your stuff, all the things you like, okay? So, after you get it all in, then you can color it in. Remember, we'll have colored pencils or markers, okay? That's, if you want to do something else with it, that's fine, but you should have colored pencils or markers for this class. So remember, with markers and with colored pencils for that matter, nice and neat. You want to make it where it's, think of coloring books, right? You don't want to, say if you're doing this wing, you're not kind of messy, right? Make sure you fill it all the way in, nice and neat. Take your time. Art is very relaxing if you let it be, okay? Take your time. Don't rush through it. Don't overthink it. If you're getting upset and frustrated, honestly, you're probably not doing it right, right? Take your time. Be nice and neat. And if I was going to leave the background blank, because you do have so much so much going on. But if you wanted to add a background, if like a color in your background, or even just a fun, simple pattern like polka dots or stripes or something like that, you are more than welcome to do that. For those of you who haven't had me before, I tend to give you minimums, right? You have to do at least this, at least this, at least this. But if you go beyond that and you want to get crazy with it, I am all for it, okay? It's all about creativity. This is all about you, so draw things that you like. A little tip, get on Google Images, and if you can't think of like reading, for example, clip art versions, images of reading, Google reading clip art or book clip art, and it'll give you cartoon versions of this, and so you can get ideas with that. Remember, we are not copying images, but you are getting ideas. And even if you don't know how to draw something, Google Images is really good for that, and clip art version pictures are good for that. So it's a simpler way to draw, okay? So I'm so excited to see these projects, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.